Hey everybody, it's Monday, and yeah, it's starting out the week. I put a text out, not text, I'm posting out there today because it's zucchini season for a lot of people, and wanting to know, do you want to know how to process them? Some people don't even have a clue, you know, how to cut them, how to process them, that they freeze so well that you can be baking with them for Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving. And so everybody said yes, they wanted to see some things, and I've also got some recipes coming, but that's not today. Today I'm going to show you just how you would process them, for the freezer, what it looks like if you were just going to cut them to cook with. So yeah, today, I mean, zucchini can be funny. Everybody thinks it's just something right for the middle of summer and that's all, and it freezes fantastic. The one thing you have to remember about the freezing, and I forgot to pull my freezing bags out here, so the one thing you want to remember about freezing is that when you unthaw it, and you saw that when I was making the zucchini bread, when you unthaw it, make sure you put it in a bowl or something to capture all of the liquid that comes out of it, because trust me, that liquid's already in that zucchini, and the process of freezing and thawing pulled it out, but it naturally comes out in any recipe when you're just cooking with it fresh. You just don't realize that it's that filled with water. So don't get rid of, discard anything of the product. Just like with your bananas, when we freeze them, I say don't throw away any of the liquid that comes out with the banana. You want that whole banana, and it's really black when it comes out of the freezer, but don't worry about it, because that's exactly what it's supposed to be like, and it has to have all of that liquid to go with it. So I mean, zucchinis come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are like, you know, monster huge. They're even bigger than these. Some of them, you know, medium size. I've got one over here that is not too bad for a size here, and then I've got one on a wheel that I'll show you that's just a bit bigger than a cucumber. So I'm going to take the biggest one, and we're going to talk first about putting it through the food processor. Putting it through the food processor is the best way to get it ready for frozen. When you use it for breads or cookies or cakes or anything, which I do have all those recipes and I'm absolutely ready to share, when you're using them for those, you always want it shredded. And so this is the shredding part on my food processor. This is my food processor. So I'm gonna, you know, I've got it all put together already, and I've got the basket inside here, but you all know how to do your own food processor. Even if I showed you all of mine, it wouldn't matter. I'm sure it's different than yours. So top side up, where it's going to be cutting, top side up, see where it's going to be shredding, and I'm going to put my cover on. This one's always a bit hinky, and there I am. The zucchini is going to go right in here, because this is the part of the food process that's going to shred it, and then I will use this to push it down, because you don't want to put your hand anywhere in there. But to put it in there, obviously it's too big to fit in there right away. So on my cutting board, and the thing about zucchini is you use the whole thing, the outside and the inside. So I'm going to take a second to wash this one, because it has a little bit of dirt on it, quickly, which I didn't think you need to see, but that's okay. Wash it a little bit, yep, and it's in great shape. Nothing else is on it. So I'm going to, can you see what's going on? Yep, you can. Actually, I'm going to do a bigger knife than this. Oh, I'm going to use a, here we go. Always take off the top. Don't do any kind of taking of the skin off or anything. About this size is a good size that will go in there and work well. Cut it in 2 or even 4 if you like. Once you get it where it can really go into the machine, and here's a good size representation. And then once you've got them cut like this, I will pull you back so you can see the food processor. See, this is where we're going. It's going to get loud. It's going to get really loud. So put a couple of them in together, and oops, I haven't, can't get loud if I don't plug it in, my friends. Way to go, Paula. There we go. And we are going. That is all there is to it. Boom, boom, boom. This machine takes down a super large zucchini in a matter of minutes. There is no, you know, like if you don't have a food processor, it's going to take all day. Basically, it can seem like it takes all day. But you can use a mandolin like this. and just scratch it across the mandolin, so you can scratch as much as you want. If you don't have a food processor, that works perfectly fine. Scraping it up in here is going to do the shredding. Down in here you don't want to use, you want to use them here. And then, if I also have from many years ago, my one from Pampered Chef, which is wonderful because you have interchangeable, see, you can keep changing all the different ones you want here. This is the one I keep in here the most. They all have different, see. So that mandolin works as well. But a food processor knocks this bad boy out in less than 5 minutes. It takes longer to clean the machine than it does to process your zucchini. So here we go, back up inside again. As you can see, it's getting all, that's going to be too big. So usually what I do is I try to find two that fit simultaneously, but neither one of them is going to work that way, so I'm going to let that one go on its own. And this one, because of the fat head on, it's going to go on its own. And this one. And so on and so on. We might as well finish this one zucchini to show you how seriously quickly it is. Boom. There we go. Boom, bada bing. And it's, oh, of course, you fell over because I'm working in the area. Sorry about that, guys. Gosh, this filming on my own, I really missed him filming with me, but not much I can do about that. Okay, back up here. And then I'm just going to show you in a minute how we store these. So the food processor that I have has a very large receptacle on it, and I can do a super large zucchini all in one shot and not even have to take a second bite at that apple. Now that it's all done, of course, you always unplug your machine before you mess with it, because who knows, there could be something lodged inside here that hadn't quite finished it, just like when you got a wood splitter or anything else like that. You don't want to put your hands in it until it's all completely done. Well, same here. Don't mess with this until it's completely off and unplugged, because what if this still had a rotation to make? I would not like to see your fingers compromised, and I already know what that's like. So alright, so here you go. This is what we've ended up with, and it is super, super fabulous. See how that is? Try to get out of the super, super bright light. There you go. See how it's all, that's what you're looking for to do. Cakes, cookies, breads, anything. This is what you're looking for. Now, I do this way in advance. If I get 2, 3, 4, even just one at a time of zucchinis, I immediately run home while they're at peak of freshness, and I freeze them. And the manner by which I freeze them is always when I think about every recipe. In just about every recipe I know, just about every one, I'll be right back. Gotta get my pen. Just about every recipe I have cook with zucchini takes 2 cups. So I always write on the bag, Z-U-C-C-H-I-N-I, 2 cups. And I'm going to put this year on it because I still have a tiny bit from last year. So I'm writing zucchini 2 cups 2020 on here. And I'm literally going to go grab my cup. And I'm going to portion out 2 cups, and I'm going to put it in the freezer bag. And that's all there is to freezing this. And oh my God, I mean, a couple of minutes of work right now. You have no idea how amazing it is to have all the fresh zucchini things in the middle of winter, to have them for Thanksgiving dinners, to have them for Easter dinners, to have them just for fun, just because you're craving something cool. Zucchini goes fabulous with any chocolate recipe. I have more chocolate recipes than any, of course, because you know what a chocoholic I am. I'm always a little generous with that 2 cups because it does break down some. So I'm always a little roundy at the top of that 2 cups. And I'll push this aside, and here is what it looks like. And then I take it, I make sure all the air is out of it as that I can. I would not use the food saver with this, because the food saver extracts moisture out of something, and there's no way you can possibly extract the moisture out of this. So it's always going to keep failing every time you try to seal the bag. So this is the way I do it. I use the Ziploc bags that are freezer safe. They are freezer bags. I fill them, as you can see, I make them flat, one right after the other, and I pile them up in the freezer so they take a little space. They're not like, you know, squiggly and squirrely, whatever. I make them flat so they pile right on top of each other like this, and it's done. So that is the first lesson, and that is how to shred it. How to shred it for use right this second, and how to shred it for use in the winter, which is fantastic. Another way to use, and I'm going to admit that I haven't used this myself yet. I had just bought this at the end of the season last year, and after all the fresh zucchini was done, so I never got a chance to use it. So I waited till this year where I can use it. This one is called, and so we're going to be doing it together for the first time. I did set it up a second so that I knew how to use it when we were working together. This is called a deluxe spiral. So it's not just for zucchini use, but a deluxe spiral. It actually can be used on cucumbers and apples and curly fries and scalloped potatoes, all kinds of stuff. But as you see, the first two items here, one's a pasta dish with zucchini instead of pasta, because if you're trying to get some carbs out of your life, use the zucchini. It tastes just as wonderful. We'll just find recipes for that. And the other one's a nice cold pasta salad with zucchini instead of pasta. So there's a lot of things that can be done with this machine. I've never used it yet, but I did quickly check it out. It has 3 cutting edges. There are 3 different ones in here. I want to say this was maybe $12.99 at Walmart, and it's close to it anyways. Here it is. This is what it looks like. Okay, I've already set it up. I will take it apart and set it back up for you to see. But the first thing you do is, they say, is you push down on these to set your machine in place so that it doesn't go slipping and sliding while you're doing your cutting, because nothing's more irritating than that. I've already got a blade on here. As you can see, there's 2 more, and this one even has a funny little edge to it, so it ends up probably a lot like that shredding. But these that we're doing are going to be trying to do like a curly thing. So I pushed it on. What I did was, let me bring the camera on. I took the zucchini and I pushed it into, each one of these has a round knob on it like this. I pushed it into the round knob to set it in place, and the back has forks on it, little forky teeths, and you push that in there. And so now all we're going to have to do is turn it and spin it. Let's see how it works together. Let's see if I can pull it back yet so you can see part of the product that comes out of here. So I did start it, but I know that I have to push it against it at the same time so that actually, yep, it's working. But you do have to do kind of a push-me-pull-me thing. I can see that I have to constantly push on it. It's not going to draw itself in. It's on a slider, but not like a sprung slider. So you have to remember to keep pushing it. Whoops, see, it came up here. Again, this isn't super expensive, so I'm not looking for giant, huge results that are amazing, but I am looking for some fun to see if we can, and there you go. You've got your nice spiral here. And you can use that for salads. You can, whatever recipe you have for zucchini. This looks pretty easy and pretty fun. Probably a mechanized one would be better, that's spring-loaded, excuse me, not sprung, spring-loaded would work better, but not that you're going to be doing this to a lot of zucchini, and you're not going to be doing it all the time. So a couple of minutes, like 5 or 10 minutes of pushing and pushing on it and turning at the same time. So I haven't quite learned there we go. It says I'm supposed to be able to push it, and there we go. I am. Is it working? No, it doesn't work so well. I need to push on the handle. I love the way that we're product testing right here live. That's pretty fun. So you saw when I pushed just the handle, it mushed it. That's not what we want. So I didn't want to use the handle, so I'm going to use the bottom of the handle like this and use the end of it like this, because I can push on it and spiral it at the same time. So we'll have to find some recipes that work for spiraling. I don't actually have any right this second, but I will find some if you guys want to do some sort of spiraling. And the last thing you want to know is, and we're going to be doing this when we, I want to show you, let me grab this off of here. I want to show you what it looks like. I'll take that end off for a second. Okay, down here. I'm going to show you what it looks like when what you're going to do and how you're going to cut it when you're doing, oh God, oh, love it. We did this last night where we fried it. And all I did was cut it like this, thinly. Not super thin, but I like it sort of in between. I don't like them to be really huge hunks, but I really like it. There you go. And when you got these, and I'll show you later on, we'll fry some together because there's a couple of different ways to fry it. There's a frying pan and then there's a fryer later. And I put this in butter first, and then I use breadcrumbs. And depending on what you use for breadcrumbs, it completely changes your taste and texture of what you're going to have when you do fried zucchini. There's Italian breadcrumbs. There's breadcrumbs that are already seasoned, just lightly seasoned. The Italian obviously has a ton of seasoning. There's all kinds. And when we get into this being fried together, I'll get into that for you. But that's all you do, is you take the end off and then you just give it some nice slices like this. If you're going to do like a casserole, slicing like this, or some casseroles even ask you to chunk them. I haven't got any casseroles yet that ask me to chunk them. Most of them want them like this. So that is a really cool way to process your zucchini. Now, while I'm on the subject of processing and getting ready for winter, I happen to have, okay, there we go. I happen to have a few ears of corn that I had cooked. And I'm going to experiment this year. I'm not into canning corn, never have been. I have the technology and I know how, and I have the jars and I have everything, but I'm just not, I don't like the flavor of it. So what I've done is I had a few ears of corn that I put aside, and I wanted to see what it would be like to have it if I froze it myself. So what I've done is every time I have some corn left over, every time I have any corn on the cob left over, I'm always holding it and putting it in the fridge, and then I do this. Now, Rachel Ray says you're supposed to put a plate, you're supposed to use it inside of a bowl and put like a plate or something on top of that so that when it falls down, you're only falling into the bowl. And you put this up here so you can work higher. I've tried it. It's kind of an uncomfortable edge for me. I just did a bunch that way the other night, but I'm just going to use this plate like this. And some may spill off the side, and oh well, we'll pick it up because we know our area is clean. But all you're going to do is just cut down the side, just like the day I was showing you when I was making corn chowder. You're doing the exact same thing. And by the way, how much better is your corn chowder going to be in the middle of winter if you're doing this than any canned corn that you buy that has all those salts and everything that's not good for you in the can when you can do this? So I'm going to see. I don't know how it's going to be in a couple of months. I'm actually literally just filling up a bag to see how it's going to be. And then don't forget, you want your scrapings. So go right down those edges of those corners that you made and grab your scrapings as well. And make sure you have your edges. And so, and all I'm doing is, let me go get the bag I've been working on, if I can find it. Hold on. What I'm doing is continuing to fill this bag, but every time I've had one or two corns left over, I've literally just done this with them, and I keep adding to this bag. And that's all I'm doing. So when it comes to when I need some corn in the winter or some corn chowder, I'm going to open this bag that I've been working on for a while, and I'm going to see if the flavor is any better than when you buy frozen corn, or definitely it's going to be better than when you buy canned corn. However, there is, I think it's Libby's, is the canned corn that I like. I'll go show you the can. If you have to buy canned corn, if you have to, it's a little more expensive, but any one of the, I'm trying to find one here for you, any one of these, it's Del Monte, not Libby's. This is the best corn on the market. It's a little bit more expensive. It's not store brand, a little bit more expensive, but I've never been disappointed. And they have a whole bunch, they have a whole line. They have their cream corn, the whole kernel corn, and then they have the white corn. They have like 4 or 5 different ones, and they're always worth it. So if I can't get my hands on something I've done really cool like this, and frozen. I actually, to be honest with you, this is a little bit better than frozen. But again, this does have the salt and stuff in it. But it says with natural sea salt, but that's advertising too, so hard to say. Let's look at what the sodium intake is on here. Oh, there's even iron in here. Saturated fat, sodium. Yeah, it's 320. Undrained 320, and if you drain it, it's 210. That's a lot of salt. So if you have a salt intolerance, you know, even if this is the best tasting in the world, you really shouldn't be using this. You should be trying to do this. And if you can't do this, frozen corn is better. And it's funny because in the middle of winter, and I've had to learn this, in the middle of winter you go grocery shopping and you say, oh, I'm going to get the fresh produce. Fresh produce is not fresh. Number one, it's got a lot of chemicals and crap to keep it fresh for you. Have you ever noticed when you get it home 2 or 3 days later, it's pretty dead because it's probably traveled 2 weeks to get to you to begin with. The best way to buy all of your vegetables in the winter, if you can't can or freeze them yourself, and trust me, you can can them yourself, I just don't care for the flavor, but I really am excited to see what my own frozen corn is going to be like, is to buy frozen corn. Even if it's the store brand frozen, it's the best for you. It doesn't have the salts and all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. This ingredient list is crazy. And when you look at that sodium level, 320 undrained and 210 drained, just wow, no way. So try to buy frozen if you can. Go at the beginning of fall and buy like a big bag of broccoli and a big bag of corn and a big bag of peas, and then you can just be taking a little out of each bag. Don't go so caught up in the fact that you want to buy a little bag for each portion. No, they all have Ziploc tops. Buy that big bag, that big store brand if you want, the Hannaford brand or whatever, and then you can just take what you take. You know, I take handfuls out of it, close it back up, stick it back in the freezer. Cost effective, very cost effective, and much better for you because there's not all these crazy additives and stuff as in cans. So that's a little first installment on a little bit of some gardening techniques on how to keep your vegetables from the garden frozen so that you can use them for different things. I don't think you can, because of the way that zucchini breaks down, I don't think that you can do the spiral thing and try to use it as pasta later, because I know how it breaks down. So if you want to spiral and do pastas and stuff, do the pasta replacement or pasta salad replacement, do those in the summer, because you're not going to be able to really do those. They don't, the idea of it in the freezer is when it unthaws, it actually breaks down totally. So, and you saw when we made the bread, and you'll see again when we do more cooking. So there you go. That's the first installment on today's stuff. Thanks. Bye.